Chiefs Kingdom Super Bowl 58 is upon us, and it's time to talk injury news, starting with the 49ers and kind of what we will expect from them, as they are overall pretty healthy, but some key guys who were nicked up in the NFC Championship game. We talk about all that right here on the Chiefs Report and make sure you're in the know as we head into the practices that are going to start right now for the Chiefs and the Niners before they head to Las Vegas. Now, I will say this, we've done this pretty much throughout the entirety of the playoffs, and, well, we're in the Super Bowl, so it's worked. I need you to give some good confidence levels down in the comment section by spamming the KCs and show me how confident you are in the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, because I'm telling you, we know the good vibes roll right through the Chiefs Report to the Kansas City Chiefs. So get down in the comment section, type those KCs, it takes 2 seconds, and it lets everything go into motion. Let's start with the injury news for the Niners here, with the first one being Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker who has been pretty good this season. I think overall, Fred Warner, the main guy, but Dre Greenlaw, he's kind of unspoken in some ways. Now, he did suffer a shoulder injury, but he did return to the game in the NFC Championship game, and that's a big key because if you go back to the divisional round, he had 2 interceptions. Now, he could be covering Kelce most of the night. That's where I think this maybe could take a different turn, where we could see him potentially going to a lot of different places where he could cover the right side with Travis Kelce. And honestly, the way that people have been doing this is bracketing Kelce, putting over a linebacker along with having a safety over top of him. But the thing that he does so well, Kelce, is finding open slots. The thing with Greenlaw, though, he covers that pretty well. His PFF grade, pretty dang high for what you would expect from a technically secondary linebacker to Fred Warner. 78.8. If you don't know what the PFF grade means, I think of it as like a test grade. So add 10 points to that. He's making about a 90, let's just say there. Coverage-wise, it's even better at 87.4. So he knows what he's doing in coverage, and that's going to be key for the Niners to try and control Travis Kelce, who in the playoffs has been a playoff masterclass. We know this happens every single year, but it still continues to surprise us. 23 receptions, 262 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This guy can really catch the ball in any place in the field. And I mentioned how he kind of just finds his way into zone coverage. Well, against the Ravens, that's exactly what he did. You can kind of see his routes here. Not a lot of deep things, but the one I want to point out to, you see that one, the little like circular one? Do you remember what play that was from? That was the Patrick Mahomes running around the pocket, trying to find so many things, and Kelce just kind of finds a circle and finds the open zone. Most of these, besides the ones going to the sideline, you see him just kind of finding open areas in there. That's the thing that Travis Kelce does the best. So how will he be able to do it against the 49ers? Well, that all depends on how well Dre Greenlaw can really protect his defense by covering Travis Kelce. But again, 116 yards, 11 for 11 in targets and receptions on the best defense in the National Football League. I think he'll be okay. I do wonder, though, who is going to be more important against San Francisco? Is it going to be the offense or is it going to be the defense? I think you could go either way here. Obviously, the defense has been key in getting the Chiefs to this point as we stand, but the offense has really come alive since the Bengals game. So I want you to kind of weigh in on this question. Get down in the comment section and let me know if you think the offense will be more important. Then I want you to type O. If you think the defense will be more important, then I want you to type D. Let me know in the comment section down below. The second injury to talk about is Christian McCaffery, the running back, and his is very minor, but I want to put it on here just because of how key he is to this 49ers offensive attack. Again, it was just a stinger when he fell on his shoulder in the NFC Championship game, and that was the reason that Elijah Mitchell came in to play that last little touchdown right there. He was concerned about holding the football, which if you're a Chiefs fan, you're sitting here thinking, okay, if that's still lingering, obviously you have 2 weeks to kind of get that off. That's got to be a good sign, though. You're trying to find a way to potentially make Christian McCaffrey ineffective in a lot of different ways. Ultimately, if you can force a turnover on him, make him fumble the ball, if he can't hold the ball properly, then that makes it a positive for the Chiefs. He also has not been as explosive as he was in the regular season, in the postseason. That was against the Packers and the Lions, who, I'm not going to say it right now, their defense isn't exactly amazing. I'm going to say they're probably above average, but overall McCaffrey against those two defenses, he was not explosive enough as he was in the regular season. The Chiefs' run defense, though, I'm going to say mid, but I mean, hey, they're consistent in some ways. In the regular season, 113.2 yards per game. In the playoffs, 0.2 better. 0.2 better, baby. 113. So, I mean, I don't want you to look at this, though, and think, oh, so the Chiefs' defense in terms of rushing has been just as bad in the regular season as it is in the playoffs. It's a bit deceiving. I think this is kind of not exactly the right way to look at it because a lot of those yards did not come from running backs. If we look at the running backs they face, Gus Edwards, James Cook, Raheem Mostert, I'm not going to say these are top-tier running backs compared to Christian McCaffery, but 20 yards, 61 yards, 33 yards, and the bottom row, no rushing touchdowns allowed to either of the top 3 running backs on the respective teams that they've played in the playoffs thus far, and including you have the Dolphins, who were a top offense, the Bills, who were a top offense, and the Ravens, who were also a top offense. I mean, these were all very good offensive teams, and you held their running backs to their own. Now, the QBs, though, that can be a different story, which I think is why my prize picks have been hitting so well, though, because I know that the quarterbacks are always going to be running against the Chiefs. That's just the way it's gone. I've hit the last 6 of my last 8, and you can get a $100 deposit match by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and using code CLNS. Now, if you want some of my picks, I'll give you that in just a second. But if you don't know what Prize Picks is, it's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And the cool thing is, it's not just the NFL. They have NBA. They also have NHL. They're getting MLB rolling as well. They've got a bunch of different stat types, and it's honestly super easy to play. All you do, choose 2 or more players, and then you choose more or less on their Prize Picks projected stats. You can go 2 players to 6 players. Then you choose flex or power play, depending on how confident you are. Now, I told you, I'm 6 of my last 8. Go put these suckers in. More on Patrick Mahomes, half a passing yard. 99% off. It's a deal Prize Picks has right now for the Super Bowl. Go check it out right now. You can put that in. More than half a rushing or receiving touchdown for Pacheco. He scored a touchdown in every single playoff game thus far. Plus, the Lions had 113 yards rushing against the 49ers. And Jahmyr Gibbs scored a rushing touchdown. So, I'm telling you, Isaiah should too. McCaffrey receiving yards, I'm going to go more on his 35.5 just because receiving backs have really dented the Chiefs. McCaffrey hit that against the Lions. He did not get hit that against the Packers. But then the last regular season game that he played full in, he also hit that one as well. So go put those in. I promise you, you will not regret it. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. So it makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports game. Now, you can go check it out and get that $100 deposit match like I mentioned by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and using that code CLNS for that first deposit match of up to $100. Telling you, you're not going to want to miss out on it. We'll put that link in the comments and the description of this video. Back to the quarterback talk. Like I said, the reason I've done so well on my Prize Picks because most of the time I'm putting them on the more on rushing yards. Funny fact, Lamar Jackson actually missed his by literally a half a yard. Thanks. Josh Allen, though, 12 carries, 72 yards. Tua Tagovailoa, 3 carries, 25 yards. Obviously, colder game. They had Raheem Mostert. Didn't really try that as much. But the QBs have really been the main rushing attack over the running backs in the playoffs thus far, which was kind of the similar thing in the regular season. Running backs were good. Quarterbacks were great. And so you have to control CMC to start, though, because if you're allowing this to quarterbacks and you get CMC rolling, that could be dangerous, and it could allow for a lot of things to open up. The thing is, though, you also have to watch for Purdy. I know people talk about how Purdy isn't this, Purdy isn't that. He's carried by his offensive stats. He's carried by his playmakers. That may be somewhat true, but I have to give credit where credit due. Brock Purdy can run the ball. He did it against the Lions. 5 carries for 48 yards. You talk about a lot of Patrick Mahomes guys who say he can extend a play. To some ways, Brock Purdy can do similar things. Now, I'm not saying he's anywhere close to Patrick Mahomes. In fact, I think Brock Purdy is a fraud for a lot of ways. But you have to respect him in the Super Bowl. You cannot take anything for granted. And ultimately, there's this. If you treat him like a top 2 quarterback in the NFL, you treat him like he can rush the ball, then guess what? This won't happen to you. You're not going to get 5 carries for 48 yards. That's not going to happen. You're going to control him. You're going to control CMC, and you're not going to allow him to break out of the pocket. We also know Sack City for the Chiefs have been really good. Hopefully that can continue. What's your confidence level in the Chiefs beating the 49ers in Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas? Give me a scale here, 1 through 100. Going a little bit wider on this one. 1 being least confident, 100 being most confident. Give me a little area range in there that you're thinking. So let me know in the comment section down below. Another injury to get to, another kind of big name you're going to see here. George Kittle, the tight end. Now, he is kind of an interesting one because We know Kittle will play through literally anything, and he suffered a toe injury during the NFC title game. Now, for right now, he's day-to-day, but the thing that I think he can make in the Super Bowl is he's not just a pass catcher. He can also be a blocker. He knows what to do in the run game. He can help protect. And I think the funny thing is, George Kittle may be one of the only tight ends that loves blocking. This guy talks about it all the time. He wants to block. And we've all seen the video. You're on Twitter, or you've seen it through a bunch of other things. Kittle talked about the last time when he played the Chiefs that he wants to be back in the Super Bowl. Well, he is, and it's against the Chiefs. So hopefully they can control him in the blocking way, but he's also been the second leading receiver for the 49ers in the playoffs. Now, obviously, only 2 games since they had that first-round bye, but still. Deebo Samuel, 10 receptions, 113. George Kittle, 6 for 108. Then you have Ayuk for 6 for 100. These 3 guys are going to be key in the receiving game. You can't knock out Juwan Jennings as well. He was closing in on 70 yards in the McCaffrey. Like I said, receiving back, 11 receptions, 72 yards. You got to try and control these weapons as much as possible, but I understand there's a lot of them to keep track. I mean, that was 4. That's not even mentioning Juwan Jennings, who I think in some ways is a little bit underrated. We saw the catch he made in the NFC title game, one-handed, kind of an overarching way. In some ways reminded me of again, I'm not trying to compare these two, but in some ways reminded me of a Mahomes and Kelce type play, where it was Purdy just finding a receiver open and throwing it to him. So we'll have to see. The last injury I want to mention here is Ambry Thomas, a cornerback. Now, why exactly am I mentioning him? Well, he's been dealing with an ankle injury at the current time. Now, he has struggled mightily in the playoffs, which is why I feel like it's necessary to bring him up, because if he is injured and then he still plays, the Chiefs could somewhat exploit him. And if you wanted to see how bad he's been in the playoffs, let's just look at his stats from the regular season to the playoffs. His overall PFF grade, 71.5. All right, it's not bad, 80. If you round that up, 10 points for the test grade, 80. Overall in the playoffs, 29.4. Coverage, 29.9. I hope he plays. I got to be honest. Like, I may eat my words on this, but I kind of hope he plays. I would really like to see him because, honestly, we know how bad these Chiefs receivers have been in the regular season. And although they've been good in the postseason, it still stands. They had 44 drop passes in the regular season. 44. That's not anything to just sit here and be like, oh, yeah, that's not that much. No, that was the most since the Browns' 0-16 team. Bright side, there was none in the AFC Championship game. Ed Warner did not drop a single pass on Sunday, their first game without a drop pass this season. And Patrick Mahomes' receivers, they led the league in drops all the season. Before I go anywhere, knock on wood right now. If you got wood, you got a door, go find it. Knock on wood right freaking now, because I'm telling you, we need this good luck to start going for it, because I don't want to say this and then the Chiefs just go back to chiefing in the freaking Super Bowl and start dropping stuff all over the damn place. So let's just knock on wood and keep the positive vibes going. That's just kind of my thing. Name a player that you think could come up big in Super Bowl 58. I think there's a lot of guys that maybe people aren't expecting to see, but hey, maybe there's somebody like MVS who can come up big. Maybe it's a Richie James, Justin Watson. I struggle to say it, but a Kadarius Toney. We saw what he did last Super Bowl. So get in the comments and let me know. I appreciate you watching Chiefs Kingdom, and hey, we're getting closer and closer to February 11th. We're in the month of February, and we're still playing football. Keep saying that and keep loving that. Peace out, Chiefs Kingdom.